The two-page internal travel report is described as an advanced WHO mission to study the COVID-19 virus in China between January 10th and August 3rd of 2020. The report writes, following extensive discussions with and presentations from Chinese counterparts, it appears that little had been done in terms of epidemiological investigations around Wuhan since January 2020. No PowerPoint presentations were made and no documents were shared. WHO advisor Jamie Metzel said in an interview on February 16th that the origin of the virus will remain unknown.
Well, China was perfectly happy to cooperate on a fake investigation. So the WHO investigators in this last group were basically chosen by China. But the question is, will they collaborate with a real and meaningful investigation? And we don't know the answer to that. WHO is inherently weak by design. It only controls 20% of its own budget. It's beholden to its most powerful member states, including China and the United States. So the WHO is always having to navigate between these big powers, again, by design. And so now we're calling on WHO to have a serious investigation of one of its most powerful members, China. And that puts it in a very, very difficult position.
According to Metzel, the actual investigation was done by Chinese authorities, and so the WHO investigators were basically receiving reports from the Chinese officials. Growing evidence has been pointing to the Wuhan lab as the origin of the virus. If the virus was naturally evolved, why wouldn't you want to find out where it came from at the beginning of the outbreak? Perhaps because the Chinese Communist Party has known the virus very well since the beginning. Yesterday, former Secretary of State Mike Pompeo, along with his China policy advisor Miles Yu, co-published an article on Wall Street Journal. China's reckless lab put the world at risk. The article states that the CCP is obsessed with researching potentially dangerous viruses with poor biosafety measures, which had led to the tragic global pandemic. The article points out the army of CCP scientists claim to have discovered almost 2,000 new viruses in just under a decade. Now let me give you some context. It has taken the rest of the world 200 years to discover that many viruses. But the bigger problem is that the CCP cares little about biosafety. Most evidence of the origin of the virus points to the Wuhan Institute of Virology, or WIV. Although a majority of the evidence has been circumstantial, back in 2018, two State Department cables warned of the WIV's biosafety problems. They even predicted the SARS-CoV-2 ACE2 receptor identified by the WIV scientist would enable human-to-human transmission. The article cited one circumstantial evidence. Several Chinese bloggers alleged that the WIV's virus-carrying test animals are sold as pets. It's been reported that some staff members of WIV got mysterious diseases in the fall of 2019, and shortly after the outbreak of the coronavirus in Wuhan, the CCP's military took over the institute. Xi Jinping once time called for a new biosafety law and wanted people to learn their lessons from the loopholes. But Beijing did not want the world to know the truth about the outbreak. Pompeo and Yu argued that the world must hold the Chinese Communist Party accountable and punish Beijing for its failure to uphold global biosafety measures. The CCP has refused to cooperate with the world to investigate the origin of the virus and to provide key data during the early times of the outbreak. But the party is able to run messages on a Times Square's billboard, the China screen, bragging about its achievement in controlling the virus. Beijing bought the China screen in 2011 for its mouthpiece Xinhua news agency. Propagandas have been running in Times Square ever since. The screen usually displays products and travel promotions for China. But these days, the messages have been around progress made in fighting the virus, 48% recovery rate, cruise ships passing inspections, and even China has helped more than 80 countries and territories in fighting the virus, and will continue to fight the virus hand in hand with the international community. Republican Senator Rick Scott on Tuesday tweeted, "Who thought allowing Communist China to display their lies and propaganda was a good idea? It's time for Times Square to cancel the so-called China screen."